everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Humpdazed on the Smart Poker YouTube channel. I'm here with Smart Poker, and we're going to get stoned.
Yep.
Thanks for stopping in. I see W Digger, LED Grower, Weed Nerd. It's good to see you guys.
Cheers, everybody. We don't have any tents on right now, so we put some blur up so we could leave our camera on. At least for now. There's the link. Anybody wants to join? There's my phone going off. Let me silence that.
Better make sure mine.
I got some I got a fat bud of some California Kush crossed with skunk here. I think
It's original California.
Original California crossed with skunk, right? Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's like my favorite, you know. That's my favorite bud. Let me put the link up there. Oh, I did. Let me pin it.
It is pretty smooth. It has a great trifecta. It has an entourage effect.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not the highest in THC.
It's actually one of our lowers.
It's one of our lowers, but it's one of our favorites. So
I think most people in our crowd understand that without any explanation.
Right. But it's cool to note those things.
Oh, it's most definitely, and that's one thing that it's good to take, you know, because I know I was guilty before of just looking for high THC strains. In my mind, that equated to feel goods, you know. But then when I started learning more, I was like, oh man, I was totally misinformed there. So I guess you're right. It's cool, and it's nice to inform others who used to think like we used to, right?
Oh yeah.
Because you can really bottle yourself into genetics if you're only looking for high THC, you know, and that can be very unfortunate. I've been blown away many times by 14% just coming back better than the 22 beside it, you know.
Blue Dream, for instance, she's one of my favorites. She's one of our favorites, and she's not the highest in THC.
Right.
The one we grew, Autoflower. So yeah, that was quite interesting because we grew her early on. We were shocked when, you know, we got to taste and smoke our own, and it was just as good as what we were getting on the streets.
Blew me away.
It blew us both away. And then to later find out that Blue Dream is a strain that is on the lower end of the strain THC strain. So
Blue Dream is one of those strains people either like it or it's not. You never notice that people are like, they'll either shit on it or they'll be like, yeah, I really like it. Very few people I meet seem to be in the middle of the road on that. You know, it gets either no play in someone's tent or they don't like it. It's weird. I seen a lady on TV. She was doing an interview. She was saying how Blue Dream was her favorite, and they had a big dispensary out in California. And I'm thinking, wow, she has access to many more genetics than I ever have, you know. Right. And her favorite is Blue Dream, photo period. And I'm like, holy shit. But yeah, it's I guess it's like anything, you know. Everybody has a different taste. I see Rowdy, Anova, XY's Andrew Dollins, W Digger, Collective Mary Jane.
He motherfucking haw.
He's gonna get.
I wanted to.
He motherfucking haw. What else we got on the blog? Oh, here's one for you. I want to see what does the what's the consensus of the chat on this one, since we got some soilers in the crowd and they're pretty well versed in soil and stuff. My old man has a garden. He found out he sent his soil away. He found out he has high pH, and so the prescription for a high pH there, I guess, is a elemental sulfur that he picked up that would lower his pH. Now we went over the numbers, and he bought a 4-pound bag, and according to this, I think his 600 square feet of growing space outside required like 2 pounds. So he put the whole bag on. And I'm wondering if anybody's ever used this elemental sulfur, one, and two, did he screw himself? Did he totally tank it? And there's a couple of other caveats here. One, he was wondering if putting it on a month early and letting it get rained on would be enough to help him. Because I think he doesn't realize, well, I think he kind of jumped the gun and just put it on, then kind of realized, and we started going over the numbers, but I'm wondering if he'll be okay, or if somebody else is, wonder what we should look for.
What do you do in that situation? Like,
He's an idiot.
Well,
He's an idiot.
That's mean. So I'm not gonna co-sign that bullshit. Anyway, being just like new to gardening, you're not sure. You like take advice on someone, and then you come to find out that you may have too much nutrients, and it may have a potential to burn your garden. What do you do after that?
Well, he's done pretty good in past years, but he's noticed that he's getting a lot of different effects. And so he sends soil away for a sample to come back really high pH. So that's why he put the elemental sulfur on there to lower it, but he put way too much. And I'm wondering if he tanked it, if he's going to be all right. Is that shit kind of weak, because I've seen, you can burn your grass up real easy.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain things you can do that will cook your shit.
Well, I guess he'll see if it's, he's going to have to watch out for, burnt tips and whatever. Just off the top of my head, like I would, if I realized that like, oh crap, I've, overdone it, my first instinct is going to want to be to water that down, just like water it, kind of like try to flush that away. I wonder if that would even work.
Well, after I talked to him, he said he's going to till it a little deeper this year and try to turn it over. And like you said, expose it to a little bit of water here over the next month before he gets it in there. But I hope it does good for him. But it's kind of cool. As I learn things about soil and stuff, I can take them and apply them there and kind of understand what's going on. And that's called acidification of your soil. If your pH is real alkaline or high, you can add certain things. And I found out that's called acidification, and it helps to here's a perfect example of something I didn't know. If you grow potatoes in I believe it's in a high pH soil, they'll get what's called scarring, or you'll have these big, thick scales of you've seen them on potatoes before.
I have.
It'll get like a thick rind on it, and it'll almost look scabbing or something they call it. It's from a high pH in the soil. So if you can get a lower pH, and I found out that you can take scabbed over potatoes that were grown in a high pH soil and use them as starters in a low pH, and all your fruit that you get off of that, all your vegetables you harvest there will be not scabbed over. So a scabbed over one can produce offspring with none of that. It's all just a base on, I believe the high pH burns the skin a little bit. It creates a thicker barrier, and it gives you this thick looking, it does look like a scab, but it's brown like potato.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to look it up and see if I can screen share. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. We'll have to try growing potatoes someday.
I want to grow enough shit. I don't want my food being vaccinated before I even buy it from the store. I probably shouldn't have went there, but yeah, I want to grow my own shit. I want to make sure that I can, my goal will be to have, here's my goal is to have the smallest garden possible. I should say, eating up as much property of mine as possible, as little as possible, and still produce enough to get us through the whole winter back to the next harvest. That's a lot,
Yeah.
And it's a lot of storage and shit, but it's going to take us a while.
It's going to take us time to get there, but
I'm just curious of how much of my property devote to that, and so our garden will probably just get bigger and bigger as we make more compost. And let's fire up.
It's already, growing now. We're moving it. It's growing. We're going to make it a little bigger. That project's half underway. We got the materials. We just have to do it.
I got bales of hay. I got the cardboard. Oh, I know what I got to get some sand. I think I have one bag, but I need to buy a couple. I need to go down to the store and get some sand. I'm going to put some sand in for drainage. I have some pretty clay, top layer of my yard. I think some sand will help turn that in. And then we're gonna put down our grass clippings, or we're gonna have a big fresh layer of grass clippings that'll be a way for me to get rid of it. I'll dump it in the bottom of the holes, and I'll just throw all of our homemade soil on top of that. We have like a 20 gallons of cocoa too, and some other shit to bury out there yet.
Plus, we are in between. We're rounding up on week 8 exactly. We're finishing up week 7, right? On the 16th, it'll be 8 weeks exact.
Yeah, and
from
4 days, it'll be 8 weeks.
Which they look like they're getting ready. We haven't checked the trikes yet.
One of them looks real close.
We'll be probably getting around to do that soon, I hope.
Hey, since we got those seeds at one time, if any of my plants start to turn brown even a little bit before the others, I'm in there looking around. I'm like, shit, I got to make sure that it's not, because I know that's one of the precursors to pollination. You can tell you've been pollinated because all your shit starts turning brown. They've done their job, but that ain't the case here. I searched that tent up and down, up and down. I mean, unless 1 or 2 got by, but that ain't the case here. And boy, is it frosty.
Oh, yeah.
It's really frosty. And the sad part is it's one of the smallest ones. It's one of the ones we didn't top, remember?
Yeah, we left a couple that were just like, you know what, let's just
they just kind of they weren't very healthy to be topping them at the time we were flipping, so we kind of just left them go. And then they kind of, the bolt that clears up a lot. That'll you can bolt yourself through a lot of problems, and your plant will kind of pick back up and get back on track there. But it's tough to flip a sick plant or top it,
Well, we did just that in this grow, and you can go check that out over at the Cocoa for Cannabis. Smart has a journal on that, where you can see we did flip a sick plant, but you can't even tell now that it was ever sick. It looks just like the others. It's
one thing I will say is a little different. Is it does have a little red stem, and it was real bad before, and now it's only like streaks here and there. It never totally went away. And I noticed the other seeds that were from the same batch don't have that at all. So I think that was an issue of us. Somehow it got sick, or the roots weren't happy, and they recovered, but not maybe to a point where we're going to get. But yeah, Andrew, this is our New Year's Grow Challenge.
Yeah,
we were about a week into our New Year's Grow Challenge,
and we had a snafu. Let's call it a snafu.
We had a snafu where I dosed a quart of seedling newts with H2O2 as if it was a whole reservoir, and it fried the shit out of them.
And that was a direct result of a little too much of this and a little bit of too much talking, bullshit, not paying attention to what we were doing, which can easily happen. We're supposed to be in there to help each other and to kind of watch, what's going on, so these things don't happen. But unfortunately, well, I don't know if it was unfortunate. It seemed that it was unfortunate at the time, but things worked out. I'm very happy with the size of those plants, the buds. They look frosty, like you were saying. I'm excited.
Look, seed person says, "What's up with the screen? Hope that filter doesn't crash and show y'all's face." You know what, seed person, I'm about to a point where I can give a shit less anymore. I'm just gonna probably soon enough take this damn filter off and just say hi to everybody and start hanging out, because on one hand, I get scared, and on the other hand, I think, who the fuck am I that anybody's going to want to try to come and get me in trouble? Or, I don't sell, I don't show people. Like, there's nobody out there saying, "Oh, I know that guys." Nobody around here knows. So even if they did see me, I just don't think it's any problem, man. That's probably more in my head than anything. But yeah, fuck them.
I say that you can never be too careful. Now, you can't see our faces. You're just seeing a blurred.
Well, I mean, I hate to travel down this road, but, even if somebody did see me, call local authorities and say, "That guy's growing weed. I saw him on the internet." they can drive by here 100 days out of 100 and not see a single car coming and go, and they'll never hear a loud party. They'll never get called for anything. They can pull me or my wife over anytime we leave here. We won't smell like weed or have weed or anything. You know, we're very careful, knock on wood. So there's things called warrants and property rights and things. And, you know, so even if somebody did, they would have to have probable cause to literally come in my house. And it's a long shot. And if we really play the tape through, I think sometimes I feel that I'm being, what do they call that? Where you think too highly of yourself? Like, it's very egotistical, I guess, to think that somebody's out there trying to bust me or something, you know, like I'm not anybody's competition or anything, you know, but someday we're going to do it.
I like what Seed Person said. Our faces can't live up to the images that they have in their heads.
Oh, that's okay.
Ouch.
That's okay.
I have a face only a mother can love. Hi, Mom.
If I had a head like mine, I'd circumcise it. Oh, just kidding. Yeah, you know what they say, man. It's everything ain't for everybody. Yeah. There's people out there, Seed Person, that don't like me at all. I could name a few of them right now in the community for one reason or the other, but what can they do? If you play the tape all the way through, what can they really do?
I don't want to be thinking about what someone has done from a prison cell, you know, and be like, I didn't see that coming. Well, I wasn't looking at that angle.
Well, the other thing is if you really, really wanted to know who we are and you had any ounce of computer technology, you could find out. So like, who are we hiding from? It ain't the DEA, you know? And like I said, we're not on anyone's radar, but anyhow, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other issue. Someday you might log on and we'll just be sitting here. But, you know, he is right about one
We're thing. Always just sitting here when they log on, though.
Well, so I'm thinking, but what that is true, because people have revealed their faces, and I'm thinking, holy shit, I thought you looked like something totally different. The only thing you can tell now on this screen is that only thing they can see is that we are, you know, we're here. You can see like an outline.
Yeah.
Look, they're all saying this. They're all saying no.
Rowdy, how you doing? Andrew Dollins, how's the trimming? Did you get most of that done?
Oh, yeah.
Into the machine? I'm curious about that machine. I hope you keep us updated.
I bet he's feeling a little bit of empty nest syndrome too on the time between harvest and NYGC.
Yeah. Sometimes that'll happen too. Like when we get.
One thing I'm afraid of is when I show my face. Exactly. Cops don't give a fuck about us. We're not drug dealers. We're growing plants. I don't cause any problems. I don't do anything wrong. And if they ever watched us, they would think these are the two of the oldest, boringest motherfuckers in the whole town, man. These people go
for real.
There's times where I'll go 2 days and not even leave my house, man. And like there's never any noise and shit coming from here. It's very quiet. Grass is always kept nice and shit. There's no alarm bells at all, you know?
Yeah, I don't really suspect anyone thinks that we even smoke, let alone grow.
They might have smelled it in the backyard. We had a couple fires or something, but it's pretty low key. But anyhow, hey, and one other thing is I use some pretty good tape on that filter, Seed Person. I can really appreciate your concern. I know you guys have a lot of, give a care about us. So you don't want to see us in trouble. And I can appreciate that for sure.
Oh yeah, me too. I wouldn't want to see any of my friends in trouble. It would make me sick. Nope. You know?
420 trees, grower love, man. Andrew, Ganja Ghost. See, that's the other thing. If I show my face, man, I'm at all these girls writing, emailing me, talking about he's so suave and debonair, and I can't have that.
I'm out for money on the wood, ladies.
Oh my goodness.
Bring it. Can I pimp you out?
Hey, humbleness is my strongest, most appealing attribute, right? Oh, that's pretty.
We'll keep it clean. We'll keep it clean. Right.
But anyhow, the link's up there. If anyone wants to join, show anything, we can shut our camera off and put you on the big screen, and you're welcome to show what you want to show. If you're having issues or feeling pretty proud about your success, or just kind of want to keep people updated on your grow. If you have questions, I know I always have questions, and we're here. We like to think we have a little bit of experience. We like to think that our chat has a whole lot of experience, and they're pretty free with the knowledge. So if you have problems and you jump in the chat, and people are usually pretty good to help you out. You know, some people even kind of connect with you on another platform to go a little deeper than what you can do right here and shit. And I think that's cool.
Oh yeah. So it seems like Andrew's going to come maybe tell us about how his drying and curing process is.
Yes.
Awesome.
So they've been in there 4 days now. I only have pictures from yesterday because that was the last time I was in Arizona. Now I'm in South Carolina, but
Right.
I'm in Orangeburg doing a Pet Supply Plus.
Okay. So that's a tough thing about not being home, man. You know.
Yeah, I put these devices into play, and it's like I can't even see it. What's it doing?
Yeah.
I mean, and this one I did not. I just ran out of time. I was trying to get my tent all cleaned up for the New Year's, or not New Year's, but the autoflower challenge. Trying to get everything cleaned up, flipped, and I mean that's like 2 days of work in of itself.
Oh yeah.
And then I had customers call me with issues, and it's just, yeah, it gets challenging. So I just threw them in after I trimmed them. I got home on Friday night. I basically ran right in the tent after kissing my girlfriend and started chopping them down. As you saw, one of my runs plant didn't end up so well, but I took
save off of that, man, and if any at all.
Well, I took Dr. Coco's advice, and what we did is we trimmed up that one that I threw in the trash was just trash. There's no saving it. But there were other buds in there, other colas that were much more. They only had a little bit of rot, so we cut it out, and we basically made edibles out of it. So we made a bunch of cookies.
Yep, that's what me and my wife did too. Like, pretty much what we did was we cut out what was obviously rotten, you know, and then went a little bit past that. And then what we would do is the stuff that was very adjacent to right there would go to edibles. That would give you a little degree of separation between the smokables. And, you know, it seemed after talking to Doc, he wasn't as excited about it as I thought he would be when it comes to smoke. He was like, you know, smoking. But to me, it just felt like I could get sick from it and shit. I heard a lot of bad stuff about microtoxins. So that's how we did ours. But you know what? We didn't have any problems, man. The edibles were great. It smoked fine, you know, but we did have to chop a good bit of it out, and it was slimy and nasty, you know.
Mine wasn't really slimy. Mine was just, it was just rotten. I know what happened. I finally looked over the data the other day, and what ended up happening is those water sensors I had in there just went nuts. No, they started calling for like 20 waterings a day. And I'll get busy and I won't even look at it, and basically just, I mean, when I got home, the circuit boards, they got water all over the electronic components. Now I sprayed it with what's called conformal coating, but that is not completely waterproof. That kind of, if you get high humidity, it's good for that. But yeah, next time I'm gonna just build my own. I'm not even gonna screw around with those.
Right on, man. That's a lesson learned. Tough lesson learned, but a lesson.
Well, it's dude. When I'm doing all these stunts so I can figure it out, and if I ever do decide to sell this stuff, I'll know what works for me at least.
And you'll have it's like stress testing seeds almost, you know. You run
exactly
through its paces for many different seasons and different environments. different grows and see what happens. Hey, I wanted to make sure we say hi to Seed Person real quick.
Yeah. Hey, seed person.
What's up, everybody?
How you living, man?
I'm trying to cure this migraine with a big fatty.
You got a
But
migraine.
yeah, I'm just hanging out.
Right on. What
I
am
sprained my neck sitting in the car for 6 hours without a headrest, and I ended up going to the ER, and they were like, "Yeah, you should just rest." So obviously, I went to work today, and that was not a good choice. So I got the NERC. I'm hanging out with my gromies, and it's going to be a good evening.
Hell yeah, we're turning that day around right now. Thanks for coming on with us.
Oh yeah, and I'll be downstairs in about an hour or so. We can get some totes and shit. So
nice.
We'll check out see some.
We're excited about that and the clone, the upside down clone.
Yes, the upside down clone, part 65. How's it doing?
Right.
The infamous upside down. You know, I started thinking earlier. There's multiple ways that this upside down clone. I feel like we're gonna be talking about it for a minute, because I was thinking, I don't know, maybe it's kind of obvious at this point, but I want, taking a clone from that plant and growing it out, it could be the offspring of the upside down clone. And then there was always somebody, I can't remember who it was now, but they brought up underlighting. Was that Thunder Dan that said underlighting would make it a true upside down clone?
If you took it and kept it upside down, growing with toward the light,
so that the leaves wouldn't have to turn around.
That's a whole other experiment.
That was Doc.
Oh yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay. It would be like growing backwards. It would never have to phototropism its leaves up to the other side or anything. It would just stay upside down and push up backwards. In my mind, I doubt it works like that, but that's what I want to see. So I think there's going to be many. You said part 65 XYZ. That's what reminded me. I'm thinking he's about right. There's going to be many spinoffs, I'm sure. But it's all. I can't believe how many people was talking about that. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome. It's the coolest experiment that I've ever witnessed with a cannabis plant. And there's some pretty cool things that people are doing with it. The bonsai thing and taking the roots and growing them, implementing art and stuff, and some really cool stuff. But this is, I don't know, it's just the nerd in me apart. It is just loves it.
And you'll still get yield. It's not like a bonsai plant. You're going to get crushed for your yield on a bonsai. It's for fun, not yield. This one will be like full experiment. You'll still harvest some nice buds off of that if everything goes good.
And that is all, like, I'm excited to see how that's going to go and how.
Well, everybody's talking about it everywhere. I mean, you hear it on Cheap Homegrown. You hear it everywhere, man. It's probably the most popular plant right now on the internet.
I hope not, man. Shit.
He's like,
that's a lot of pressure, man.
No pressure, no pressure.
How are you gonna top it that next time? I mean, you're growing an upside down clone. What are you gonna grow, like a plant in a centrifuge next or something? I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. How do you top that?
Jack Greenstock was mentioning something called I think it's called a topsy-turvy. It's for tomatoes and stuff, that it lets you grow the plant from the bottom of the container. And I figured I would maybe try that next if this goes through flower all right, and I've got a little extra space, but
So just in my mind, so what it grows out the bottom and then it grows up the sides of the pot?
You put the light on the floor facing up. So the plant is growing out of the bottom of the container. Like imagine if you got like a Tupperware or a tote, and then you cut a hole in it and you put a net pot in there. And you filled it with like soil or cocoa or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put your plant in there, and then you put the light on the floor, and you hang the tote up at the top of the grow tent, so that the plant is literally coming downwards towards the light source.
It'll be confused, man. It's thinking I'm going towards gravity and light all in the same direction. Those are two conflicting signals. You know what I mean?
It'll be like, what planet am I on?
That's what Doc said. What planet am I on?
Crack me up.
The only issue I see with something like that is I would almost want to run something like that in like maybe rock wool, just so your media doesn't fall out and gravity doesn't screw you over.
That's actually not a bad idea. Groden block or something would really stay in
Yep.
there.
Yep. That's
I've
where
been
I'd
doing-
approach that.
Hey, I seen them topsy-turvy on people's porches and shit when they were hot, like 10, 15 years ago, whatever, however long ago. They was on all them infomercials and shit.
Yeah.
And they worked. I seen people getting tomatoes and shit hanging from them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I imagine it's more of a pain than what it's worth. I mean, yeah, I make a cool photo, but I mean, do you
You know
think
what I
the
think?
tomatoes be any better?
I think what it is, Andrew, is its main marketability is to people that live in places where they don't have a big yard for a garden and shit. You can, in this way, you can still have like hanging baskets and just throw a topsy-turvy up too, or whatever they're called, upside down turvy things.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
I can't.
Maybe topsy-turvy was something for a girl's hair. There was something for a girl's hair
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called for real.
that the commercials work because they stick in my head, you know,
Yeah.
for a while, anyhow.
Yeah, and then you have some hash and you're like, oh, what was it again? What was it again?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like, it looks like, I just looked it up. It's like a cylinder. It looks like a big, like a really long grow bag. And then it's got little holes in the sides of it.
Yeah.
And then this one has a hole in the bottom of it. It's like a fabric pot with a loop on the top, but it's like twice as tall as a normal one would be.
huh.
Yeah, if you Google it, PRI Gardens Upside Down Tomato Planter. It's interesting. It's a zipper. It's got a zipper on the bottom.
Okay,
So
yeah, I
you
was
just unzip it a
wondering
little
about.
bit and put the thing in there.
I was wondering how the water flow works on something like that, because it's going to just want to drip down into your light. I mean,
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to get it just right for sure. Or you'll
yeah,
have to maybe have your light off to the side a little bit.
or you can just put a light condom over it, or you can buy a Bipar Spectra XS Pro with all the lenses.
Yeah,
I bought one of those.
Well, there goes something else I never thought of. If you have a light flipped upside down, all the heat from the driver is going to wash over the light the whole time instead of rising off of it. So you might have to get a light that you can disconnect the driver and set it off to the side, or you'd be cooking that son of a bitch. I would think it might impact longevity and efficiency, right?
I don't know. Those drivers they're rated for pretty high temperatures. I think your LEDs are going to pay more than your drivers, but you just put a fan under it. I mean, heat does rise and it will rise out through the leads, but if you just put a fan on the back, heat likes to go wherever it's colder. I mean, it's just like water likes to run downhill, or water likes to go where it's drier. Heat likes to go where it's colder.
Yeah. The laws of thermodynamics. You heard them right here on the Smart Poker YouTube channel.
Yeah. Speaking of thermodynamics, the experiment, the Anditrol, I guess we'll call it. It's working.
Dude,
it's working.
Cool, and it looks really cool. And I have no doubt that it's working good.
Well, I don't think it works as good as a Canitrol. I think they've spent a hell of a lot more time figuring it out than I did the couple weeks in the hotel room. But it is drying it. I mean, you guys have experience with the real McGillicuddy, not my cheap knockoff. But we're on day 4. I checked the plants on day 3. Since I have to put them on like paper, like whatchamacallit, parchment paper. I have to move them around to keep everything, drying at an even rate.
Right.
I think it's just because the airflow isn't quite, because you got those nice trays with the holes in them. I don't have. I have wine racks with freaking paper on them to hold up, keep my buds. But those buds are so big, I probably get away with just setting something up and hanging them, and that probably work better.
Right.
But as far as the buds themselves, they were very the terpene smells were just off the charts. I mean, we trimmed them and it smelled like freaking somebody came by with a lemon wedding cake and just smashed it everywhere, but even more.
Nice.
But
Now,
now,
is it still holding on to that?
no. So some of them have that scent still, but no. And curing in that antitrol, some of the smaller buds have lost their smell unless you like start breaking them apart, I guess.
Yep.
They're not dry, they're drying, but they feel cold and kind of wettish. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird. They're shrinking, so that's good. And I'm seeing water in the drip pan where it drips out of the machine.
Right.
I don't know how, like when you check yours, what, like you're like day 2 or 3 and drying. What does your feel like? Are they like,
they're still, I don't know if they're cold, but they do still have a lot of moisture. There's no
yes
snapping or nothing like that. That doesn't come a little bit later. And
yeah,
some strains will lose their smell, XYZ, no matter if we're going through our machine or not. We'll cut them down. And that's the odd thing I don't understand. Like, here's a perfect example. We cut down Violet Beauregard. As we're trimming her, she smells good. We buck her down, put her in the machine. Every time I crack the machine open, still smelled good. Other strains we put in there, they smell good going in, then they kind of lose all their smell, and then
lose their smell pretty much until you break them open.
Until you break them open, then the whole room.
It's so weird. It's crazy because it never really worked like that before when we were doing our own dry cure.
Don't be alarmed if you don't just put your I'll pull a big fat bud out of the Cantrol and sniff it, and I'm thinking it doesn't smell that great. When you break it open, XYZ, I shit you not, the whole room, this is only about 10 by 12 rooms, the whole damn room smells like dung. By the time I get it in the paper and roll it up, it's like, holy shit, man, your fingers, you can't even roll. I got to stop, wipe my fingers with alcohol, or the paper
just to
But we do the factory settings is giving that 4-day dry and a 4-day cure.
And then it just sits there on hold.
We just put it on hold,
but I know how I can feel your I don't want to say it it's right through the line. Like, you're worried about your cure, man, and how to get it right. Because you have all this work in there, all that automation, months of caring and checking in from it over the phone, over the internet, not being there, having your significant other put in a bunch of work. It all comes down to this, man, and I guess he left. He cut out. But I can understand why he's really worried about it. And it's hard to impart. I don't know what that machine does exactly. I know those people did a lot of science when it came to curing cheeses and shit for years before they got into that.
Yes.
I understand some of it, but as far as reverse engineering it, that's not obviously anything that I can get into.
But if he can get a close product where he
just give you that edge when it comes in on first 10 days.
Where you can control the rate at which the moisture is leaving your buds and get that, all
jarred up.
Correct. And that if he can do that with his machine, then he's winning.
That's a home run.
Because the chemical is expensive. If he can get the same results or even close to it, then it's so worth it.
Yep.
I think it's awesome that you're doing this.
Sorry, I dropped out. My hotel's internet just crapped out, but I'm back. So yeah, it is. I think the Cantrol is probably a better machine than what I did, but it's it's designed for exactly what it's doing, and it's probably worth the money you pay for it. But my experience is the physics of it is basically you just have a cold plate collecting the water up, and then you keep a certain air temperature, and then it just works. And I'm going to say mine's working. It's doing exactly what I expect it to do. So I'm happy with it, but I still have my Cantrol on order. So
I can say this, Max YZ, whether you're using a cannon trawl, this is my own personal thoughts. Other people that have this machine, after 8-10 days, you can pull the weed out, you can smoke it, and you'll get a really good indicator of what it is. But it ain't ready. It needs time, man, because when you're breaking your buds in half and shit, there just has to have that certain snap to it. You know, it has to have that certain feel. And when it's going into the paper, it has to feel like not too soft, you know, and it takes time to get that. Now, I've realized that there's no substitute for putting the time in, but what it does for us is it sets us up into a perfect cure environment to where you could take them out in 8 days, throw them in jars, and you're good. You ain't got to do shit.
Burp those
You ain't
jars.
gotta
You
do
can just
nothing,
set them. You know, a cool, dark place is where we keep our jars, and you can forget about them without having to go back.
But it is pretty amazing what you do. Is we'll go in at like 8 days. Now lately I've been trying to hold off, but first got the machine, we'd go in at 8 days and smoke a joint out of there. And it's amazing how well it burned, how good it did taste, but it still had that rough in your throat chlorophyll a little bit. Now, granted, you could taste all this
a little bit. You can taste a little bit of green.
You could taste all these trikes on your lips and everything, man, but you could taste that green still. And like I said, it didn't have that right feel when you was rolling it, cutting it. And so after you put it, either leave it in there on hold for like 30 days or put it in jars for 30 days. That's primo product right there for me. And my new thing is to try and hold off, man. Like I made it 15 days almost, or 14 days on the Violet Beauregard before I tried her, and I wasn't dissatisfied at all.
Well, we did try both at 8. We just wanted to see.
Is that what it was?
I think it was a little longer. No, you know what? I think it was 9 days because we just wanted to see, just to have a reference.
I could have swore it was 2 weeks on
And
Violet.
we did go back.
But anyhow, either way, it makes a hell of a product, but it does need the time, man. And I think pretty much anybody here that's cured multiple cures can understand that. You know, like there's something with that chlorophyll, man. You can't rush that shit. It's gotta have time.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at mine. Yeah, they'll probably be dry enough to smoke, and I'm thinking 7 to 10 days. But I'm running a different algorithm, I guess, than what the cannon trawl does, because mine, since I'm not there to sit there and babysit and figure it out, I just put a setting in it that keeps it 2 degrees under the dew point until the dew point gets down to 52.3.
Okay.
And then supposedly that's the perfect VBD you want stored in. But once you get down to that point, unless you have a wet sponge or something else giving off water, it will still continue to dry. That's why you have to have that sponge in there.
Yep. And it'll tell you when it has a big red thing. It says add water in bright red whenever it gets.
Yeah, there's no mistaking. That machine lets you know when you need to have that sponge ready.
Well, yeah, what will happen is your VBD will crash. It will get so dry in there that the dew point drops below the setting, and then it basically stops working.
Yep. But it's nice to know that you're on a path to some good cured. You know, I want to say when we first started getting on the internet and hanging out, looking back, it dawned on me later on that drying and curing was one of the least talked about subjects, man. Everybody had a way to get you the best soil or to grow best in cocoa, or they knew the best genetics and shit. But when it come to drying and curing, it was always 60-60, not a lot of air, keep an eye on. Or, you know, there was just no real detail, at least not that I saw. Maybe other people had a better crowd they were hanging with, but it was hard, man, to find good information on drying and curing. And I'm a firm believer that and I try to look through a lot of things as somebody. When I think of a grower, I picture someone at home, guy and his wife, maybe like us, just growing medicine because they need it, man. You know, they need it to help sleep or to treat something or whatever, or just because anxiety, stress, life, whatever. But I think of them and I'm thinking if they invest money and have 1 or 2 bad cures, that's enough to turn them off, man. And I don't think any of us here are in the business of trying to get someone not growing their own shit, So I think it's, when it comes to drying and curing, you can get them to the finish line, but in drying curing is one thing that it's kind of a hard thing you can't tell someone when you squeeze your bud and it feels like this, that's when you're ready to go, because that's how we did it. For a long time.
The snap.
We had our shit hanging in closets with very little airflow and monitoring shit, running a dehumidifier or an air conditioner or whatever in certain parts. And, always
sometimes a humidifier, sometimes dehumidifier,
sometimes one in the morning, one different one at night.
Yeah, exactly. Just to.
But anyhow, what I'm getting at is that can definitely turn someone away. And I think people like you and Drew and different things that have gotten that as a topic more into the community is better for everybody. And I think it's good to rely on some of these older guys. It's been doing it for like literally 20 years straight, man. They've been harvesting and curing, and they really have gone through the ups and downs. And it's nice to hear them impart this knowledge on different people. We went the scientific route and bought a machine, but I understand that there's people out there that really have this down to a science, man, in their environment, because let me go ahead.
One thing I just want to bring up though, the thing about curing is all about your environment. And the thing is, the difficult part of it is you hear the 60-60 number and you'll hear what whoever made the cannon troll drill this down, but basically 60-60 is not what you're looking for. Because 60 degrees and 60 RH, that doesn't tell you, it tells you what your dew point is, but that's really not the ideal environment to curing. You actually want a little bit warmer so it will draw the water out of your plants. And then you need a place or a device to basically suck the humidity out of the air to keep it dry enough for it to keep on, sucking the water out of your plants. But you don't want it so hot that you're burning off your vapes and your terps, and you don't want it so cold that the process of drying and actually curing stop. So it's a very interesting thing.
You have to be aware of how one affects the other. You might have your RH right on, then you go and change your temperature, and all of a sudden now your RH is out of whack. You go and mess with that. So how that can be like a chasing your tail,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So drying and curing is definitely something that I think it's probably one of the least things that is talked about. And it's one of the least things that I think is, I think a lot of people are more consistent with other parts of their grow than that, and if you're like me, a lot of times it was off. And here's another good point. And we were talking about environment, if anybody's ever grown in an area and then moved and tried to grow in a different area, the challenges. You didn't even have to move far. Just growing in like the same town on a different level of a house, in a different house, way different, man. Everything's different, it's amazing to me. And then I think about these people that moved from like, say Massachusetts to Arizona or somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
There would be
it's a whole different brand new ball game.
Well, yeah, the guy in Massachusetts really has a hard time relating to the guy in Arizona if he's never been there. So I think it's very important, and XYZ Vector brought that up, is the environment. What is your environment? What are you battling as far as outside environmental impact? Is your roof and above the closet that you're drying in going to be 90 degrees because it's midsummer and you live in whatever, So it's definitely something I think people should take the time and try to dig a little deeper into that, and do it before you're 3 days from chopping down,
Yeah. Take my advice. If you're going to buy a cannon troll, buy it 4 weeks before you're ready. They told me they'd get it out faster. I was like, I wanted to tell them, well, just take your time. I already built one, but actually they're hiring. And I was looking to, maybe I didn't really send them a resume, but I might get into that. I don't know.
That would be cool. You could you could be the inside man, the influence. You gotta get that way you could have yours, and you'll be able to, when you get yours, I want to see how it compares.
I want to do that's what I want to see. And the thing I think that the cannon troll will do better than mine is, I mean, I've talked to a couple people on Coco, and they had them. They're like, oh no, my back part, where it cools off, it gets frozen. I'm like, mine doesn't do that. And they're like, well, mine doesn't have a heater in it. And it's like, well, maybe it does. You just don't see it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know what that thing has. You don't know how it works. I mean, I've seen the patent, and I just basically, it's like, okay, I know enough about this that, okay, if I have a cold plate and in a fridge or in a box, it's going to get cold. So I'm going to need a heater. And I just hacked together what I had available, which was a Peltier cooler and a Peltier heater, which basically any Peltier cooler can be a heater if you switch the voltage. But anyways, that's besides the point. But yeah, I mean, I buy a couple little radio controlled speed controllers for your remote controlled cars, and basically hacked it into an Arduino, and said, okay, here's a temperature probe, put a temperature probe on the chiller part where it gets cold, so I could tell what temperature it is.
Yeah.
And then I just get it down to certain below dew point, like 2 degrees below, hold it there as stable as I can. It sucks the water out, makes it drip. And then I have a heater to keep the air temperature at 68 or whatever I set it to. But since that seems to be the way they say to run it, that's what I'm doing.
Hey, the chat's asking if you can make a well, you know what else, dude? This just hit me. This just hit me that not only do we fight the current environment and what could change from morning to night, as we grow throughout the year, we go from winter here in Pittsburgh, anyhow, we go from winter, which is cold and dry. And then you go into fall, which is super wet and hot and moist, and then in the summer, it's like a toss up. You'll have a day where it's raining and 80% humidity and 80 degrees. And then the next day it'll be bone dry and 100 degrees, so you're fighting seasonal changes. So when you're curing this grow right now, the very next cure you do will be an absolute different set of environments. And then it's like every year you have a cure in a different environment. It's always a fight, and I think these are things that people need to put into play. To what you used 3 or 4 months ago as your cure standards, and what the if you had to use a humidifier or whatever, it might change now. So, but they're asking if you can make a cheap freeze dryer next. They want to make some.
Yeah. So I was researching the freeze dryer. So I was looking at the cannon troll. I was like, I was on the fence. Am I going to build a freeze dryer, or am I going to build a cannon troll? And what made me build the cannon troll first, and I'm still damn interested in making a freeze dryer, but they're not cheap, because the problem is you need a vacuum pump, and then you need a very well sealed environment that you can suck all the air out of, and that's not an easy thing to do. That's why they're so expensive. But
that sucks, man. Those two things.
But the thing is, no, but it's a very interesting technology, because what you do, it's kind of like a cannon troll in reverse. Okay. So what the cannon troll does is it tries to keep a specific air temperature and a specific dew point. When you control the air temperature and dew point, you tightly control the relative humidity. It's what you're trying to do, which is your VPD. Just think of it like when you're growing, you want to maintain a certain VPD. You want, as your plants are small, you want low VPD so they don't dry out too quick and try to move too much water and get, shocked and take up too much nutrients. But as they get bigger, what?
It's the exact opposite then for the other way, huh? You want
exactly. You're trying to take the water out, but you're trying to take it out at a very slow rate so that it doesn't cause the plant to over dry. You're trying to take it out at a slow rate, but you also have the other side of it. You can't let it get too warm or you will get mold. So that's why it's 68, and because you see your cannon troll.
how
Go
long
ahead.
does it take, if I put a tray of buds inside of a freeze dryer, how much time has to pass for it to process in there before I can pull it out?
2.5 days to, well, I've been reading anywhere from a day to 2.5 days, maybe
Wow.
3.
We have a couple people in the chat. I know Ross Anante, I believe, has a freeze dryer. And,
he was talking about that the other day. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
You ought to see that stuff they press out of there. It's like,
Oh my.
it's like
But the thing is I asked Ross Nani, here's the problem with the freeze dryer. And it's not the freeze dryer itself, it's just the algorithm it runs off of. It's designed to dry your food completely. It's not
Right.
designed to dry your food to a specific point and hold it there. You see what I'm saying? So if I put something in a freeze dryer, what's going to do is it's going to want to basically suck all the water out as quickly as it can, and then that's it. It's done. It's not to say that you can't have a freeze dryer that controls how fast it sucks out the water and then says, hey, I got to a certain level, let's stop and just hold it there. But once you get to that point, you'd want to take it out anyways, because it takes a lot of energy to run, not a lot, but it takes some energy to run a freeze dryer, because you have a vacuum pump, you have to have what's called a water trap, and the best water traps basically use a refrigerator. It's a refrigerator that, condenses the water out of the air.
Right.
And then you have your vacuum vessel. The thing is the water trap is designed to suck all the water out, leave none of it behind. And what ends up happening is you way overdry. Your buds come out like, basically paper. Nobody wants that. That's why the freeze dryers aren't very popular, because nobody makes one specifically for cannabis. I mean, there's bigger companies that do that for large grows, but nobody does it for the home because it's expensive.
I can see if you're growing in a large space for profit, I can see the appeal of having freeze dried and on the market in under a week. You're already turning the profit around on that grow. I'm more of a flower guy myself, but I know a lot of people that like to smoke the dabs and different things. And that freeze dryer, I think I saw one for like, I want to say it was like $2,000. It was
2 or 3 grand. I almost bought that. I almost bought one of those. I was looking at it and I was like, well, I can try to make my own Canatrol. I got one on. I can get a freeze dryer tomorrow. What am I doing? And looking around and see, it sucks on the internet. Information is kind of sketchy. You got to treat it as such. But a lot of the information I found was like, yeah, I used freeze dryer, and my problem was my buds came out dry as paper. It dries it well, but it over dries it.
I wanted to make sure the chat understood that I meant freeze drying, not for the sake of smoking the flower, just to make concentrates,
Okay.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, not for somebody. I thought somebody was wondering, like, we weren't trying to cure them in there or nothing, but I was just curious of, because I know it works by sublimation or sublimation.
Yeah, sublimation. That's exactly how it works.
And it's a lot different than what we're looking for if you're trying to smoke the flower. So I think that's one thing.
Well, yes and no. I mean, freeze drying makes it excellent.
Wouldn't it be bone dry, man, and dusty whenever you tried to bust it up?
No. See, that's the thing, is the freeze dryers you go buy for 2 or 3 grand, they're designed to freeze dry your fruits and stuff. That's what they're designed for. That's what they're programmed for. There's a program in there. The thing is if you tell the program, say, hey, once I get down to a certain level, basically your BBD gets to a certain level, stop. Okay. I don't want to go any further. So you could literally dry your buds in a couple days and be ready for cure. Would you want to cure them in a freeze dryer? Hell no. No, that you'd probably want to put them in a Canatrol. But or some,
So for the
you know,
cost, it wouldn't be worth it. By the time you pay that price, you still end up not having nice cured buds. And I don't think that's the way I'd want to go either, man.
yeah, that's what sealed the deal for me. It's like, okay, well, I can go buy this machine and I can probably hack it to the point to work the way I want it to. But at the end of the day, I got a great dryer, but that's all it is.
Well, we're at the top of the hour here. I wanted to tell everybody, appreciate you coming. There's like 45 people here, it looks like. That's 42. And small tubes, penny pebble rippers, weed nerd. I see some good talk in the chat about different drying and curing. And I see Sky overhead, Puffy Grows, Supreme Grape. I saw our buddy Artman earlier. I saw he caught a big lot of fish today.
Oh, yeah.
And Hoss Farms, Claude. Yeah. Dog Doctor Official's in there. He says he's working in his garden. There's the martial artist saying hello. And yeah, thanks for coming out. We're smoking some we're getting some hash out, man.
I'm so jealous. I gotta eat cookies, man. That's all I got.
Yeah,
Hey, at least you have that, right?
It's coming, man. Before you know it, you'll have 10 different kinds of buds in your closet. And,
Oh no, I have to eat the cookies because I'm on the road. No, I can't bring flour up to South Carolina. No, that's a red state.
You're crossing interstate lines and shit. That's right. I keep forgetting that you're that far away.
Yeah, no, I mean TSA doesn't bitch about cookies. They'll bitch about if I brought some of that flour I had in my fucking tent in my thing, the dogs would go off because when I walked through the airport security yesterday, they had dogs sniffing everybody and all this shit. Dog would gone nuts. I'm sure it would have been like, what the fuck's this? Got all excited and they pulled me off and be like, oh, you can't have this. And took my meat away, buggers. No, you got I just bring cookies. It's a lot easier.
So the cookies make it through a dog sniffing station? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
That's crazy. I figured they would be able to sniff that out anywhere. People float that shit in gas tanks and them dogs, they sniff it out.
I don't think the TSA dogs are trained for sniffing terpenes. I think they're trained for sniffing bomb stuff.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I don't care if some guy gets on the airplane with a big fat bag of weed in his pocket. But I definitely care if he's got a big fat bag of TNT in his pocket, right?
Damn straight. Don't fuck it up, Skippy.
Fire that other shit up and let me get some, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because if I'm on an airplane, I'm going to have my eyes closed. My asshole be puckered up like a snare drum, dude. I'm going to need a fat joint.
Well, these cookies I had, so I ate half of it going in, and then I was fuck it, I'll eat the rest of the half. And I brought like 20 cookies with me. And that was the stuff that we salvaged from that bud ride. Holy moly. I've been high for the last 20 hours, man. I shit you not. I'm still feeling it.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. It
wasn't so much fun at work today. It kind of stuck, but it was an all-nighter. I had a thing come up back in Phoenix that I had to deal with, and yeah, so I had to take the red eye out tonight and last night, and it's like, you know what? I'll sleep good if I eat some cookies, and I ate them. I ate a cookie, and yeah, that was an interesting ride. I mean, it was fun, and the problem is the runs don't couch lock you like I was expecting. I usually eat it and it's like I'm down. I fall asleep in the next 30 minutes. No, that I was just like laying there going, I wish I could sleep. But yeah,
edibles hit me totally different. I'm the same way, man. I gotta say, I'm not a real super huge fan of edibles. I just need them at nights and stuff. I'm not big on taking them and going about my day because it just seems to hit me different. And sometimes they'll really put me down. Like I won't feel safe driving on edibles and shit, It'll make me, my eyes get all whacked out. And
and if you have to do a task, it's like at a work task, it can be highly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get your dose right, but I like edibles. If if you find the right dose for you, then you can really have some good times with it and take the pain away from all kind of, whether it be stress or, your body hurting. It's a fix, I feel.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when we make our edibles, we try to mix a lot of different strains, because I feel the more strains we add into those oils, the better the edible is.
But they always put me down. That's the thing about edibles. I can't remember a time where I ate an edible and got like wanting to go out and do stuff. Kind of like if I smoke a joint, I want to go out and maybe work in the yard and do different things. But if I take an edible, it's like it's too much or something, And I know people are like, oh, he doesn't have his dose right, but it just hits me different. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but yeah, we're gonna roll this Mac up and put some hash in it. And
yeah, I'm gonna grab that hash.
Well, what I'll say about edibles with me is I'm on Smart Poker side, but today I'm still awake. Just to let you guys know, I got up at 6 a.m. Arizona time yesterday. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's been one of those days where fucking everything that could go right went wrong, and everything that could go wrong went wrong. So it's been a very long day.
Murphy's Law hit you today, huh? Is that what that is?
Yeah. It's a terrible Wednesday for me. But anyways, I ate that cookie about 10:30 p.m. Arizona time. And yeah, I'm still feeling it. It got me through the day, but I mean, I had to drive for 2 hours. It is like, I'm never usually inebriated during my daily tasks, but I was today the whole day. I mean, I got through it, but it's like, man, but I mean, normally I'd be asleep if I ate a cookie. It's like, good night. That's why I ate it. It's like, oh, I'm going to get on this plane, eat this cookie. I'm going to go sleep. I'm going to be up 4 hours later. I'll be good to go. Nothing happens, no harm, no foul. Oh no, that's not what happened to me on this. It's like, I'm still waking. I mean, it was a very uplifting high, and that's actually the type of highs I like off cannabis. I don't like the couch lock feel usually, unless I'm too busy of a person. I'm always moving or doing something. But yeah, I mean, I was just like, that's why I don't like edibles too much.
I'm curious how you infused it. Did you use coconut oil? Did you use butter?
Butter.
Okay. I think you'll enjoy. You ought to try the coconut oil if you haven't yet, and I think you'll like it. It seems, I'll put it in layman's term how I figure out, and the science can go a different way. That's your avenue, but they have what are they, medium chain triglycerides,
the multi-chain
or something, and they end up holding it. It holds more of the good stuff that gets you feeling good than say butter. So. In my mind, what I feel is though that I can take, say 2 ounces of good quality cannabis, and if I put it in, say, a pound of butter, you're only going to get maybe 50% of what you would have got if you would put it into a pound of coconut oil, because there's more room for the good stuff to soak in. So I feel like it's a better use of your product, and it makes a stronger product so you can dose less. And we use a dropper, like an like an ear dropper, an eye dropper for like a baby or whatever. It goes into a glass bottle, and we pull it out, and I call them sticks. I'll do like 2 or 3 sticks full, and that's all it takes for that coconut oil. And we put, we buy 14-ounce jars, and we usually like to do like 2 ounces to 14, or maybe a little more, or a little less if it's good bud, a little more if it's just trim, somewhere around in that area per jar. And it really makes a nice. You can
makes a punch,
and you can substitute it for butter XYZ in your cookies and that.
Oh yeah, so the oils store 10 times more of the THC and cannabinoids and terpenes and all that than any butter ever could, because the problem with butter is it's like you're saying, the triglycerides or whatever, the fats
Not fat
basically
enough.
are very, yeah, they can't absorb anything because they're already fat.
Hey man,
I mean, keep it
there's a,
simple.
there's this other show called Caribou Heart TV. If you ever hear of it, we'll have to get a link up there. Really good people over there. There's this lady there. Her name's Paula. She does all this cooking. She infuses, excuse me, she infuses sugar somehow, man. She infuses honey. She takes this sugar, bro, and toasts almonds and then melts this sugar on them and tosses it. Like she did this for Christmas. She's always making stuff that's, yeah, she's a really good source of information when it comes to being cooking. And our buddy Chef OMJ is also a good one. He's on Cocoa for Cannabis. And his name says it all, man. He has a really good recipe that he sent me, XYZ, on how you can figure out. I asked him one day, I said, hey, chef, if I put 2 ounces in this much oil, how do I know how many milligrams per dose it is? Well, he sent me this kind of an algorithm thing that was a little over my head, but
Yeah.
thought it was cool that I could figure it out. And it was like, he told me this isn't going to be precise, but it'll give you a ballpark, I guess, you know, and it was based on, I think, 20% THC or something like that. And because I told him, like, I've had, and this goes to show too, I've had people give me store edibles from like other states and stuff, gummies or whatever, and they're all right. But if you eat one of them brownies we make, I felt like it would equal 1,000 milligrams to that shit they brought me from. I had this stringy Laffy Taffy shit that was like 300 milligrams per bag. And I ate the whole bag. And I was thinking one of my brownies would crush you easily 3 times as hard as this, you know? And so I just assumed it was that. But it's nice to know, you know, I would rather take a small dose and get a big effect rather than have to eat like a whole brownie. You know, that's why we switched to trying. I wanted to make sure I could get as much into the oil as I could without wasting it, if that makes sense. Because I'm
Yes.
You know?
Yes. No, the oil is the way to go. I haven't made any oils yet. And then also we were talking about Christmas time. I love to barbecue. I make my own barbecue controllers. So anyways.
That's awesome. I like the barbecue too.
Yeah, I'm a smoker.
Well, I like to eat it anyway.
I like to cook it. I like to eat it and cook it and just everything about it. But we're talking about how we could
XYZ. I'm not excited. I'm not surprised. Cooking is a science. I love to cook, man. I love grilling, trying to get the heat right and shit, you know. And we'll have to talk later because I have some good ideas that I learned about cooking charcoal and shit that were pretty cool. But anyhow, go ahead. It's a science, man, cooking. You ever hear of Alton Brown? He's one of my favorite cooks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I watched his show Good Eats years and years ago when I was a young man. And I would sit and watch the show Good Eats. And yeah, I got 4 years of cooking class and everything, man. No shit. I love to cook and love to bake. And yep, I do a lot of that here. I like to, my Instagram will show that we like to cook. I'll make like a fire out back and just cook right on the logs with my cast iron, man. Go out there in the morning, cook breakfast. My neighbors probably think I'm nuts sitting down there in the morning at 6 a.m. and cooking breakfast on a fire and stuff. And
that's the way to go, man. On an open fire with a nice big thick cast iron. Ooh,
yeah, some bacon and eggs. I got a lid that fits perfect, a nice glass lid that's made from Pyrex. It's all metal handle, and it's just beautiful down there, man. Nothing like eating a fresh breakfast out in nature. The garden's growing right there, and you know, big fat hog leg in your ear. That's, to me, that's living. You know, maybe I'm getting old, man.
They don't get not much better than that, my friend. Yeah, I mean,
the best thing about my company, and that's my wonderful wife, man. Without her, it would be shit, you know.
I love you, smart.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than sitting on the back patio, smelling the fire, the smoke, smelling the food. The food adds to the fire. If you do it right, the flavors, I mean, whatever you rub your ribs or whatever you're cooking on your smoker, grill, barbecue, whatever. It's all the fire is a integral part, but it is not the part. The part is you figuring out how to use that fire to make exactly what you want.
That's it. Without overcooking it or under, and I've been guilty of that. It's a learning process, like growing, man, where the hot spots are and how thick your meat is and different things where, why is my wife, why is she laughing when I say that? Got her.
Well, at least you're not like me. I have a grill that has 6 temperature probes just so I know how even the heat is. But guess what? That doesn't make the food good. What makes the food good is the effort put into it and the knowledge of, hey, if I put this on my ribs or if I use this in my steak, I'm going to get this. And then all the automation does is make it repeatable. You come to my house, you'll get the same steak on Tuesday as you get on Friday. That's the automation.
Yep. There you go.
It's still the person cooking the steak that makes it great, though. That's the thing.
It's in the company, man. Your company and the good buds, like
good smells too.
This time of year, I'm sorry. It feels like it's been a long, dark winter. Cold and salt everywhere on my walk and all over my vehicles and shit. So now it's nice. I see the grass grow and there's bunnies and fawns out, and man, I'm on cloud 9. And the garden's getting ready to go in. We're gonna get to add in all of our new compost. And this is my favorite time of year, man. I get excited and I start thinking about those summer nights with fireworks and me and my baby around the fire having hot chocolate and stuff. That's it, man.
S'mores.
It's coming. It's that time of year. Hey, seed person, how's your headache over there, buddy? Are we making it worse here?
Shit, I forgot I was on the call. I was just listening to y'all talk. I'm all right. Yeah, I got down in the here. I'll show you.
Yeah, hey, you got a nice smoke going? There you go.
Oh, there they are.
All right, we got
nice.
something for the viewers other than just our empty screens. Let's see if we can. There we go. We got him up there. Talk to us, man. They're going quick for you.
These are the photos.
Okay.
And yeah, they got a little burnt, I think. But
remember when you first?
That's old.
They weren't looking.
They got their. Yeah, they were pretty sad. They were all droopy. They're still. This one's still. I don't know. They got their first dose of nutrients yesterday, so hopefully they start to perk up.
Are they in cocoa?
These are in soil. Happy Frog.
Okay, Happy Frog. Oh yeah, that's what my girl's growing in. Happy Frog. Yeah, she's just starting. I just convinced her. I was like, hey, I know you got your Happy Frog and your ocean stuff, but you need to start amending. So yeah, because her plants were looking really sad the other day. But it turned out to be she didn't water them for a week, and she's like, but they didn't really need that much water before. I'm like, look at them. They're growing like crazy. You need to keep on the water.
There's the upside down clone. Look at
it. Look at it. That thing's growing like a banshee.
Strong as an ox.
It's still really loose down at the bottom because the stem really hasn't grown much from when I took it as a cutting. And it's still got these leaves down here.
Wow, they're still living.
That's the crazy part. They've been there for like weeks and weeks.
Yeah, I've had little seedlings damp off in 2 days. These things are growing subterraneously and loving it.
Are you sure you don't have no light leaks in your soil there?
Some what?
Light leaks?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's cool. It looks really good, man. It really does. I'm just glad to see this. You topped it, and it didn't really.
It's right here.
Yeah,
it just went with it.
Nice.
There's so many curiosities. Like I can't wait to see the root at the end, like how the roots are in the pot.
Yeah.
You know, how they
Hey.
grew, how they cultivated the
Is there any coming?
space.
Yeah. Is there any coming out?
No, but I bet you when they come out,
Yeah, I
the
see
bottom,
some.
they'll grow some
Right
leaves.
there.
Oh wait, yes, there is.
I see. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot, but like for the growth to be on top,
It has to
one
have
has to think that there's got to be some decent roots.
Well, I wanted to ask you what you thought made those other plants unhappy on the pot up there. Do you think it was the soil was too hot on them other ones? What made them droop like that, man?
They were overwatered. They dried out too much, and then they got overwatered. And then I transplanted them the next day, and they were still really wet. And then the soil that I put them in was damp, so they dried out. And then they got a dose of nutrients.
They should be good then, back on track, huh? That does seem like a lot of obstacles in a short period of time, and a lot of hypoxia possibilities there, right?
Yeah, I think exactly that's.
Them things are going to be just fine now. They're back on track. That one there's really stretched out.
Big leaves.
Yeah, the one in the back.
Oh.
I mean, she's got a little bit of yellow on her, but she's gonna bump up. Are they even flipped yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna see those things take off. I'd probably flip them sooner than later because you're gonna run out of tank if you're not careful.
I was gonna top them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, once you wait till they get a little healthier before you start topping them, huh?
Yeah, I might just bend this one over. I don't know.
Give it some pulp action, huh? Live right now. Super cropping live. Fold her up,
Yep. Pinch that
nice.
stem.
fold her up like a
Yes.
cheap suit, man.
Yes. I did that to my girl's plant the other day. She was all like, "What are you doing?" She's getting mad at me. She had this big old, well, her biggest plant. She's got an indica. Everybody's got an indica sativa mix now, but they were all the same Girl Scout cookies. And she's like, "Why is this plant so much taller?" I was like, "Well, sometimes you get more sativa than indica in this, it's like brothers and sisters." She's like, "What am I going to do about it?" So I start just super cropping it. She's like, "What are you doing?" And she freaked out when I super cropped it and bent her whole leaf or cola over. She's like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "Trust me, you'll be happy later."
Well, we always tell people, this is something I learned early on, is I don't super crop unless I tie them down, because I found out that today's support is tomorrow's restraint, and that changes how I tie them down. If I just put a little crook in a piece of wire to like hold it up, it's going to just lift right out of that with phototropism like the next day, especially if they're growing highly vigorous plants. Now, if you were in something like a rubber band or something that will give a little bit but not really let it pull up, then like I said, you'll support it today. And then when it starts ripping back tomorrow, it'll kind of hold it back. So if you do a little forethought there, you can get a twofer, is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
A twofer. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. So what you're saying is after I super crop it, take what I super crop, hold it down to the net or the whatever I'm.
Yeah,
with the
what I'll
band.
do is I'll like wait and see how his is hanging there. What I'll do is I'll shove a piece of wire straight down into my pot, and then I'll kind of like loop it around there in such a fashion that it'll support
It'll hold it.
Yeah, so it doesn't just keep sagging. And then like in 2 days, you'll notice that it's trying to pull that piece of wire out of the ground. But I don't want it to do that, because then my super crop was for naught, because now it's straightened back up and all there is a big knuckle there, and it's back on track, ripping to the top of the tent. You know what I mean? But another thing I always advise people to do this, and this is just my practices, my personal practices, is I like to wrap mine in grafting tape before I pulp it and then bend it over. And then about 5 days later, I'll come back and unwrap that shit. That way that I don't get no fertigation water or any nasty shit down in them fresh wounds. But I've also done it without doing that. It's been fine. But I feel like it's a disclaimer that I often say, and I think it's relevant. I see one.
Mushrooms. I see a bunch.
Oh, shit.
That is really awesome.
You got to look for them.
So seed person, are you growing these shrooms for CO2 or are you just growing them for fun?
This is for medication.
Okay.
So I'm like I use it as a microdose. I take
Okay.
about a quarter of a gram every other day, and
Okay.
it helps with like just mood in general, and like I was anxiety and depression and things like
Okay.
that. So, but I've actually never had like a trip where I hallucinated or went anywhere or did anything crazy like that. So
I've had too many trips, so but anyways, that's besides the point. But yeah, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh yes, shrooms.
There's some strong science to back up mushrooms as a medicine. I think we all understand that at this point.
Like cannabis.
Just like cannabis.
Well,
nature's way, right?
Reconnecting different pathways and synapses in your brain and just different kind of stuff. I think it helps in other ways that I'm obviously don't know anything about, but there's shit going on in your head, man. It helps out. I learned that was it cannabis or was it mushrooms? One of them is supposed to stop the proteins that create Alzheimer's or where you forget who everybody is and shit. And that's created from like protein stopping the synapses in your brain. And under a brain scan, I think it looks cloudy. And they said, I don't know, it might have been mushroom stops that from happening, man. I thought that was cool.
It's really interesting.
I see your two cats hanging out with us.
Can I ask you, seed person, do you notice that helping you?
The microdosing?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
yeah. So the way that I understand it is that your brain, the neurons connect in a certain way based on like your experience and like what you think and like the way that they travel, and then they start ingraining and strengthening those connections. So it takes the path of least resistance. So if you are normally like a negative person where you're like always going to the worst like possible scenario in your head, then when you take the mushrooms, they like sort of kick your brain out of that network of like
they disrupt the path.
Yeah, and then it helps you like build new ones. So if you are like microdosing and then you do like talk therapy or like work on yourself, then it sort of like sets a new pattern in your brain. I know that's like a terrible scientific explanation, but
no, it makes sense. I understand.
There's a really good episode with Shango Los on Shaping Fire about it with Dr. Mayabi Shields.
Cool. And I know some states are now like, oh, let me take this off of here. I seen your cats are with us, man. How are they doing?
Oh yeah, they're doing good.
We had to take here. Hold on, let me come back and get them. We had to take our today, man. I was over here the other day and I'm smoking a tuber in the morning. I'm looking down, I'm like, that cat's been acting weird. And sure enough, man, we started poking around at her and we got by her back paw. She was like, more than normal.
Oh yeah.
More than normal. So sure enough, we called, made an appointment, got down there. They said she had a puncture wound bite mark on her back paw. It's like the fourth time in a year, man. She's had like a wound from a bite mark from something, either other cats or raccoons or something down in the woods. And
who knows? I'd like to get her a cat collar with a camera on it just to see what she's doing. Like, what kind of shenanigans are you getting into? She's so small.
Is Atticus still on the diet?
Yeah, I don't think it's working though.
But he has too many carbs.
Pieces.
He must be catching all the mice in the house because I haven't seen one since we moved in.
Oh, there you go.
God. He's such a pretty boy. That's cool, man.
One of the many benefits of having a cat.
How's that for therapy, man? Just seeing you pet them cats. Oh, pretty girl.
My
Scout doesn't.
So
that's our boys.
Animal.
I always say girl because we have one. Hey, I even do that to people's dogs. You guys do that? I'm like, here, kitty. I mean, puppy, come when I go to other people's houses and shit because I'm so used to calling my cat. Yeah, here,
My-
puppy.
My daughter has a cat that actually plays fetch. This cat acts like it's a dog. It's weird. It's crazy. Like you'll throw a ball,
Oh, yeah.
she'll run out, grab it, bring it back to you, and want you to throw it again. But she
Yep.
won't give it to you. You gotta overpower her for the damn ball. It's crazy.
See, my cat will do that, but it'll only bring it so close. She'll bring it within 6 feet of you. And it's like, I'm not getting up 30 times, but she'll continue to go get, if she's in the right mood, she'll get it and bring it back a lot. You know what else she likes to do? I'll tap my shoulder and she jumps up on my shoulder like a parrot, rides around on my shoulder. We'll look out windows. I let her sniff the ceiling fans because I'm 6'5", and she gets to see an upper view. She loves it, doesn't she?
She does.
I just tap my shoulder, man.
And he walks around the house saying, "Arr, love the
Arr, mateys. Arr, mateys."
She loves it. But I only do that in the winter because I'll get clawed up pretty bad. But yeah, it's pretty fun having the animals. The therapeutic value of my animal is pretty good, man. Pretty
Well,
high.
It's better than you having to go out and drink yourself silly in a bar or something.
Oh yeah, I got my cannabis, my wife, my animal, and those not in that particular order, but
Right,
the things
right.
that are important are right here. You're right. I don't need any of that shit, man.
That life's no fun."
No, nope. Definitely got to try some of those mushroom grows. How big?
Yeah,
I'm looking forward. I got to try my
we
hand.
keep dragging our feet.
It's just because I'm so busy already.
What would you recommend for like a beginner strain? Is that what we cultivar? What would you call it?
That's a good question.
Like
I think they're strains, right?
No, they're called cultures. Cultures.
Okay.
So
Cultures is the correct term.
So you could have like penis envy as a different culture than something else.
Yes.
I would not recommend that one for beginners though.
Hey,
Because it's too strong or it's hard to grow or
No,
Well-
well, I think both. I haven't grown it myself, but I've heard it's extremely like potent. So you would want to take a much smaller dose if you're trying to microdose, and it's hard to get it right.
you
Okay.
want to hear something cool, man? There's this guy on Cocoa for Cannabis. I haven't seen him in a month of Sundays, but his name's African Grown, and he's a microbiologist by trade. And I have the pictures on my phone. He said it was okay if I kept them and showed them to people. I'll have to get them loaded in my computer somehow. But he keeps his mothers in the same totes, these big tote looking things, as he does grow his mushrooms. So he has all this penis envy totally covering all the cocoa. And then you see like
yeah,
plants
it's pretty
growing
wild.
about. I had like 10 picks. Now I think I'm down to like 3. I don't know if they're in my cloud or what, but there's 3 of them that I cropped and somehow I got to keep those ones. So it's a cool looking thing, but it's possible, man, that you can hold small mothers, in a dome sort of thing. It looked like a terrarium. You guys know what that is. And I was thinking, check this dude out. You'd have to be a microbiologist to be able to balance that and not get mold or nasties or kill one or the other thing. And it was just pretty freaking wild. I will say this, the cannabis plants didn't look absolutely vibrant and healthy, but they weren't all yellow and nasty either. They were definitely alive and they were living, but I thought that was the coolest shit, man. Penis envy, that's where I learned that at. So that dude was growing it.
So that's not something we want to start off with. Plus,
So I would recommend like Golden Teachers is always one of the most recommended for beginners, or my personal one that I like because I grew 4 strains and tried them all at the same time. My first one that I used for microdosing was the Cambodian, which like I noticed a difference between them. Like the Stargazers made me get more like amped up, and then the Cambodian had me more like philosophical, like introspective kind of deal.
Cool. Thank you very much. And
We wrote it down.
the environment is going to be the big thing, keeping I'm sure in all this venture, having the right equipment and keeping the stable environment. So, and of course, ordering.
Yeah, we gotta
Ordering those
order the
cultures.
order
Yeah, the spores. Yeah.
Get some rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get them on the
So-
internet though.
Yeah.
So when we were younger, we used to grow the psychedelic shrooms. I mean,
Yeah.
when we were like 16 and stuff. Yeah, it you really need a nice. You gotta get sterile, from what I remember, and you gotta sterilize everything, and then just to try and just get the only culture you want. But
Hey, is it true in
Does-
some states that you can kick over cow patties and find magic mushrooms? Is that true?
I've never seen it, so I
I've heard,
can't
like-
call it true.
I've heard even in Ohio and like Indiana and shit, you can, in some of the middle states there, or maybe it was Kentucky, I don't know, maybe it's that middle swath there. I'm not really, my geography isn't the best, but I think you can kick over the cow patties. And someone said, this might be all bro science shit we heard when we was in high school, but they said you kicked over the cow patties, you find the right mushrooms only for a short time out of the year. And if you crush the caps, they would turn purple. And I think if it turned purple, it was either good or not good. I can't remember. But that was an indicator of either having the right ones, or maybe it was don't eat those ones. Those are the ones that are impossible.
It might be the
obviously,
right
I
ones or
don't-
don't eat those. I will tell you,
Right.
as somebody who has done a survival, training throughout my life, do not eat a mushroom if you can't identify it.
No,
That's my
Exactly.
recommendation.
but is that true,
Yeah.
person? Do they really grow wild like under cow patties in certain states? Maybe the chat.
In some places, yeah, but I the only way that you would be able to tell is if you do like a spore print on it and like identify it. And that personally, I don't have that skill level. Like I have like 10 edible mushrooms that I know that I can find, and I know like 5 that are like really poisonous, and the rest of them I'm like, no,
Right.
just don't touch them.
It's amazing what some of the I don't know how to call them without being derogatory. I call them hillbillies, mountain men, whatever. The people that live way up in the woods, they know about all that shit, man. Them dudes have cut that. They know exactly when it's coming out, where to find it. They even get that ginseng and shit, man. And yeah, it's pretty wild. All the different shit that you could eat. I don't know any of that. I wouldn't eat nothing from the woods, dude, because I have no idea. It make me sick. It reminds me of that episode where Michael Scott went out into the woods and,
Oh my God.
and Dwight had to run after him and tackle him. He was like, "No, Michael," and he had to pull the mushrooms out of his mouth and shit. There's me. I don't know if anybody else ever saw that, but we try that.
When I did one of these trainings, I had to do find a meal, and it was like the faster you find the meal, then you get a reward of a flint
steak
or something.
Oh,
No, like they wouldn't give you food. No, hell no. Or like a fishing rod or whatever. So what I did was I made worm soup in an old tin can that I found in the woods, bro. We had to text a picture to the instructor, and then they would come to our camp and like check everything out, and then they would give us like fishing gear or whatever.
Oh wow.
Did you have to eat what you gathered?
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
good?
it wasn't great. No, it wasn't great. But I caught a fish, so it was worth it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Sounds like fun, man. But I don't know about worm soup, bro. That's tough. I give you credit.
Yeah.
I caught a salamander. I texted a picture to the instructor. He's like, "Do not eat that." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "It's super poisonous." I was like, "I wasn't gonna eat it, but thank you."
Yeah, you'll be dead. You'll be dead.
It's funny because we grow our own smoke, and we did really good with our vegetables last couple of years. And I caught myself in the back of the yard there, standing proud and everything. Like, yeah, I got my buds inside. I got all this I'm growing and shit, thinking I'm like all self-sufficient. But the reality is, I wouldn't last long at all in one of those situations, man. It's just I realize how much I depend on my fresh tap water, my shower, my all that stuff. Getting out there is just, I see those people, they go out and rough it in like the wilderness and shit. It looks fun, but I don't think I'd make it too long, man. Outhouses in the winter. Nah.
Yeah, I would make it for about maybe a couple weeks. I mean, yeah, we know a lot, but what happens when you can't turn on the tap water and water your plants? We're screwed.
Yep. I rely on fresh water coming right out of the tap.
And our electricity. 'Cause
Yeah.
we have to grow
Oh,
indoors.
the electricity. Yes. Yes.
If
That's
you don't have a
that's
generator and a water source.
It would just be,
Yeah. you're screwed.
yep. So
I
yeah,
definitely wouldn't want to live in that type of situation, but I'd be gathering up all the dandelions that I could eat, lilies, like the plants that I know I can eat and that are good for you.
yeah, some people,
I would eat worms too. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think if it came down to hunger, you would really, it's your driving force to want to stay alive if you're hungry
oh
enough.
yeah, you eat shoe leather.
And if you're hungry enough, those worms will taste fantastic.
Yep.
True.
Oh, they'll taste like freaking ribeye steaks if you're
How
hungry
did we
enough.
go from cooking
Yeah.
outdoor ribs to worm soup here? You know, I was hungry earlier. Not you guys.
Hey,
I
no,
don't
listen,
know. We're
here you
making
go. I got
popcorn.
one for you. Not gross. Oh, it's kind of gross, but gather up all the acorns you can find in the fall, put them in 5-gallon buckets of water. Little larvae will crawl out of the acorns that have them inside them and they'll float to the top. Then you take those and you put them in a frying pan and they taste just like popcorn. Butter
Oh.
popcorn.
I'll take your word for it.
And they pop on the pan like popcorn too. It's kind of cool.
No. Oh,
Well, hey, we got our recipe when Mad Max hits.
yeah, I love that movie, Mad Max.
I know, but that's where you would need these skills, and the fact that you and Crispy can grow good pot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not going to mean much if we get into that situation. They'll mean something, but the fact that you can grow good plants will save your ass because you'll be able to walk up and say, hey, I know what this soil's doing. I see the signs. I know what to look for, and I can actually do what I need to do to make these plants grow.
That's it. That's a good skill that, you know.
Or have like a big bank of jars where you can like rely on, because that is going to be cash.
You know, I look up to
Value.
farmers, man. Farmers
You know,
are the,
medicine that is, you can trade the cannabis for food. And
Oh yes, yes. The more jars you have,
might
the
need.
better off you are.
farmers are the backbone of America, man. Without a
There
doubt.
aren't many farmers left. That's the thing. It's all been taken over by automation. It's all been industrialized. It's all been, yeah. There's not many farmers that make any money anymore.
You know how it is on that scale, man. You either can go high labor cost or high,
Well, yeah.
it always wins out.
Well, Dr. Coco was talking about this on one of his shows. I think, you know, you could get high automation, but you're not going to get robots picking your fields. That's the cost for a robot to do that is way more than it costs for, 100,000 Mexicans to do that.
Right.
Every time. So that's the thing. And the thing is America is I mean, we sit here and knock down the immigrants that come across here. That's what made our country great. That's what continues to make it great because they pick our crops, right. They mow our lawns, they trim our weeds, and then they have children, and their children turn out to become doctors. I mean,
right.
I'm grateful for immigrants because I'm a descendant of an immigrant.
Ellis Island, you know, it's
we are all descendants from immigrants, unless you're a true Native American. So keep
all the pictures
I've
seen of people coming into Ellis Island on the boats. I've never seen any of them on a pony. Who leaves a pony country packed with ponies to come to a non-pony country, right, Beth?
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy. But anyhow,
that one's for small tubes. He gets it.
That's for small tubes. Yes, but it's you're right. You know what I saw, and I think this might be an advantage to helping feed America, was some guy that invented. I was just reading about this the other day, and I seen them before when I went across the country on a road trip. They had those big ass things. And this is the first time I saw one of these. I was like 40 years old, man. It's like a huge arm on wheels, and it goes off of this central circle pivot, and it goes in this big circle, man, and it waters the crops, you know, and it's pretty badass. And I'm thinking, I started thinking more onto it, and then we looked into it on the Google, and they do have certain measures that make sure that the water at the end of that thing is just as powerful or often as the shit coming out the very first nozzle. And this thing's like huge. You know what I'm talking about. They showed a picture from the sky. It was just circles as far as the eye could see because of those water things. And it was like an invention that helped crops, you know. But I don't think that takes away from anybody's labor. It's just a good thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, watering crops, that's you just substituting nature. Unfortunately, you have to pick the crops, and picking a crop, they have not built a robot or any automation that can actually pick a crop, look at it, and say, hey, I got bud rot, or I got this. This is shit. This is good. It all takes humans because, unfortunately, automation is not adaptable. It does what you program it to do, and that's all it does. That's it.
Yep.
If you want your...
We were talking about with Doc was about the seed crops that, like, it's different, you know, with corn, you can buy corn seeds, plant a whole field of them, and they'll all be right at the same time. Man. We try to do that with cannabis, you know.
Yeah, well,
without taking plunge, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing about cannabis is it's not. I mean, corn has been basically bred from.
Oh yeah.
You seen the original corn? It was couple little corn pebbles on a little stalk.
They called it teosinte.
Yeah, I don't know the name, but that's what it was. And now look at it. It's these big old, and they're all the same. And the reason why is because it's been bred that way. Cannabis has not been bred for anything. We're just starting on this path.
Hey, you know what I learned next wise, which I thought was a really cool point, was that if mankind disappeared from the earth today, corn as we know it would disappear probably 2 or 3 years after. There might be
yes, it would. Yes, it would be. And
I thought, man, that's pretty wild. All the cornfields that you've seen for all your whole life and shit was, you know, it's all very, very manipulated. And it's just cool. You know, some of it's good, I guess. Some of it's, you got to feed the world, right? We got a garden here to look. We got about 15 minutes left. We got a garden.
Let's check out Chiba.
Nice. Chiba, man, how you living, Big Cheese?
What's happening, people? What's happening? We step back.
Nice to see your plants again, and you.
Indeed. This is the Twisted Roots' purple skid mark. Oh, what do you call it? Purple Death Tree. Changed the name.
Okay.
These are coming in nice. These are turning out to be my best ones.
Yeah, you ran into some problems there, man. It's been a problem. It's been how do I want to say it? A grow full of challenges for you there on some fronts, right?
Yeah. My problem was overnew. I overnewed it, and I didn't realize that I was. Oh well, I should have known because I wasn't checking. So
right.
Next round, I was already. Today is day 2 of week 7, so it's too late. I'm just putting in what I can, finish up this one, and then know for the next round.
That's it, man. Lesson learned, and move forward with it, dude. And that's the kind of attitude you have to have, right?
There's Tao's. Was it Bruce Banner crossed with Cheesequake again because I didn't do it correctly. Big. Yeah, but I didn't do the EC or the pH correctly, and in doing so, my nugs didn't develop properly.
Yeah,
got elongation and all this and that. But again, next go round, I gotta change ice. That sucker is hot. I gotta fix that.
Ooh, you need a killer for that noise.
Oh yeah, I got ice packs I put in here. Matter of fact, Those little ice packs.
Hey, whatever you got to do to
I
get
just
it
forgot to
cold.
put it in there when I came in, when the lights came on. And I just got to do, because it was 74 when the lights came on. I just forgot to put it in there. So I'll take care of that. These are UVB reptile bulbs that I'm hanging out to see if they do anything. I doubt it. We'll just see. What the hell? Because I saw V grow some dank. D grow some dank. I call him that now. He had UVB on one of his plants, on half the plant. And on that half, you saw that. And that half, it did something. It turned it purple. It had a little bit more resin. So
we surmised that the plant definitely had a reaction, and it produced like anthocyanin to kind of help protect against that sunburn effect or whatever. And I'm not sure I wasn't sure if I would consider it advantageous at the time, but there was definitely an impact without a definitely visual
or something. So I definitely want to try it. What I'm gonna do next round is I wanted to do it this time, but I couldn't get the right kind of bulb. I got these big bullshit bulbs. But I had 2 clones, the exact same plant, the exact same from the exact same mother. And I was gonna do that, but I couldn't get the freaking proper UVB bulb. So I'll just do it on the next go round. But I definitely want to check that with the UVB and non-UVB and see if there's any, stripe difference, taste difference, flavor, whatever. That's really what I'm looking for, the flavor and the smells and whatever the expressions, because it doesn't change anything, potency, nothing. Supposedly, it just brings the expressions out that were in the plant, supposedly.
Hey, Chiba.
Yeah.
I only have one suggestion for your next grow.
Yep.
I grew this same thing, not this last grow, but the grow before it. My plants looked exactly like yours, maybe a little bit more dense, but what I screwed up is my EC was off the scale. I had it on a mill Siemens or micro Siemens, it was 2.0. And it looked exactly the same. And I'm sitting on a whole bunch of the flower.
That's where I was at, 2000. That's exactly Yes, sir.
This grow I just got through, I did not let it go over 1.4, and a world of difference. Yeah, I mean those girls.
But you see, Weed Nerd, he hit his with some high EC. He always grows in high EC, and his plants come out great. I guess it's just each his own, each his own, and whatnot.
He's been lowering his EC lately. He actually he has a link to a study that shows that low EC or lower EC than what normally is recommended. I'm just paraphrasing here. He's actually better at saying it. But I guess the low EC
get up here.
Nice combination of terps with yield and everything come together nicely. But I think it's no secret that running a super high EC definitely retards bud growth. It makes it's osmotic stress, man. So it's pretty simple physics on that one. It's something even I understand. When you have that salty of a solution, you're drawing moisture from your plant because water always migrates to a more salty solution. So the water from your plant is just drawn out by osmotic effect. And that's why you see all those crispy, crunched up leaves. And then they can't photosynthesize. Then that in turn gives you small little larvae buds. And it's just like a domino effect. So we always try to stress on our show that it's much, much easier to come back from a low EC if you're in a hydroponic situation than a high EC. Because once you go too high, you're done for the rest of the grow. A low EC can be corrected in 12 hours and your plants will be praying and looking beautiful. And you can slowly go from there. But there's really no benefit to force feeding a high EC. It just doesn't produce anything good. Our nutrients are there to support photosynthesis, not to try and force fuel it. We want the nutrients to be in a good, correct NER so the plant can just draw them at will as we correct the environment and the lighting, everything coming together. But that high EC will always bite you, man. And I know some nutrient companies recommend it, but it's been my visual and personal experience that it's always better to go low. And I think a lot of people will agree with that.
Hey, Chiba, though.
It's just
Hey,
what we do
Chiba.
next round.
Hey, and listen to me, bro. Chiba, you only have to spend half the amount of money on the nutrients than you did on this one. And that's a positive. But hey, your plants are looking the best they can, and you're gonna get something off them.
Your Hempy buckets are rocking over there. What's in your Hempy bucket there?
Huh?
What strains are those? Those are
Which
are
one? These here? This
but that's
this is Banana Punch. This is Banana Kush crossed with Purple Punch by Greenpoint Seeds. This one's pretty good. Again, still open new. You can see.
Hey, you work a lot and shit too, Chiba. So you're I give you credit, man. You're always working and you're always having to go so you can head to work. And I know it's tough.
Yeah.
Especially in the systems that you've chosen there. They take some hands-on growing in the conditions.
The Hempy buckets. The Hempy buckets are set it and forget it. You just pour the stuff in and ease out. That's what I'm gonna be going with the next round, because I'm not gonna be able, because I got a new job that I'm gonna be trying for. And I'm only gonna be home like 5 hours at a time. So I won't be able to do the DWC next round. But I will be doing Hempies. And then round after that, I'm gonna do some different. I think I'm gonna try some sort of recirculating to a waste stream type of thing. I found. I'm gonna have a weed nerd look at it once I look a little bit more at this video. I think I found something I like. I think I found something, but we'll check it out. Anyway, I just want to show you guys where I was. My battery is dying here. I'm down to 10%. So we're doing good.
Nice.
Thank you for coming on.
It's been awesome watching this grow, watching you change your lights over, Chiba, watching you try the DWC for the first time. And I can't stress enough how much we appreciate here at the Smart Poker YouTube channel for you inviting us into the personal space, your success, your failures. And you're a thorough dude, man, and you're always legit and you always speak from the heart and stuff. And we just love when you come by, Chiba.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to come show you guys because I didn't get a chance to show you last time. So, all right,
I like that. You're always open to collaboration too, man. You know, you're always.
Let me go. The phone's gonna die. I'm at 6%.
We'll see you, buddy. Have a good one.
Cheers to you, buddy.
Hey, that means
cheers.
Yeah, he's got it strapped down in the DWC plant over there on the right.
Yep.
It's got
it's grown like that. My DWC did that too.
Yeah. Boy, he's changed a lot. He put up lights that he'd built himself. He's got those lights now. He's got the Hempy buckets. He went from different fan setups. And I remember when his wires were not hooked together, and then he got everything all cleaned up. So it's been quite a transformation to see his different areas come together and different strains. Always like seeing the different strains. That's why I asked. It makes me wonder what I want to grow. And if you see somebody growing something that looks like, I'll never forget a handful of strains that I've seen and thinking like some platinum. I don't know why, man. There's something about these platinum strains that make me want to grow them. And that Banana Daddy, I seen one of those that really made me want to grow it. And, that's how I pick up these strains, because we can't test them. I don't know what the smoke's like. I can only go off visuals. And I guess after a while, you just kind of have to make the connection there. But holy shit, we're down to 3 minutes, and we got the Let's Be Bud show that comes up next. I know Uncle Rick was in the chat there, and I know most of our subscribers here are also subscribed to that channel and often go over there. We have a prior engagement, so we're going to have to wrap this up here and get moving. It's been a fun time talking about different things tonight, and we look forward to having some future guests here and get some few. We're going to try to get a few deep dives on a few different topics, and want to say thanks to all our guests who came. Some of them have checked out. C Person, XYZ, or I know you're still here, but I know that C Person and Chiba Man had to check out. So appreciate those stopping by, and everybody in the chat. I seen Doc MJ spend some time talking with Modern Genetics, and I saw Smiley, Captain Blackheart, Ross Anante, our buddy Weed Nerd. Everybody's hanging out, and we really appreciate it. Please give it a like. There's a link below in the description that will take you to some 420 sales and stuff that might be able to help fund our channel here and pay for some of this live streaming and different things like that. So, that's always nice. And you get to save some cash on some good products like Photon Tech, Medic Grow, and pretty soon we're going to have a couple other ones up there, we believe. And so hopefully you check that out. And Grower Love, you guys want to say goodbye?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody to go over to Cocoa for Cannabis and sign up for the Grow Challenge, the Spring Flower Challenge. Size matters. Come grow the biggest or the smallest autoflower with us. I posted the link. I'll post it again. But thank you for hanging out. Grower Love to everyone.
XYZ, you want to tell everyone goodbye, where they might find you? They can check out some of these cool things that you've created and are working through.
Yeah, I'm kind of just on Cocoa for Cannabis, but you'll see me around everywhere. But I appreciate you guys having this discussion, and it's been fun. And hey, we all learn. That's
right.
That's what we're here for. Just learning, talking, and figuring out which way's up.
That's it. Trying to figure out the best way to get your medicine, from beginning to end, and to help other people do the same thing. So we'll hopefully see you around XYZ. It's
of course. And remember, curing is don't dismantle it, because you spent all this time growing your good bud. You want it cured right.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Very important.
Okay.
Good tip. Grower Love, everyone.